This brief gallery of celebrated characters only includes 5 names, which can be said to be 5 unbreakable links to Asturias, its history and its culture. Every list is debatable, since it always leaves something out, and it is not easy to determine the criteria used in its selection. For example, the first name that we will introduce may have not even been Asturian in origin. Some people even doubted his existence, because part of his history is shrouded in legends. Very few concrete facts can be found about Don Pelayo, the leader of the rebel group that fought against the Muslim troops in the mythical fight of Covadonga in 722. He has been said to be a Visigoth nobleman in the court of King Rodrigo, but other studies point to a Hispanic Roman origin and a more direct link with Asturias. Be as it may, his uprising against the Arabic occupation was the seed from which the small kingdom of Asturias sprouted, and the beginning of a long historical period of more than 8 centuries, during which this and other Christian kingdoms slowly regained control over the territories of the Iberian Peninsula that were dominated by the Muslims. The fight at Covadonga was elevated to the category of epic by the different chronicles that followed, and Pelayo has been used as a nationalistic figure. In opposition, and also distorted by history, in the Muslim world he has become known as the uncivilized mule of the mountains. Praised by some and repudiated by others, the perspective given to us by the centuries allows us, nevertheless, to appreciate the relevance of the character and his role in that period of the early Middle Ages. Apart from the statue that represents him in Covadonga, the image of Pelayo is part of the official crest of the city of Gijón. Centuries later, in 1744, in this Asturian city, Gijón, was born Gaspar Melchor de Jovellanos, one of the most important figures of the Spanish Illustration. He was not a man of arms like Pelayo, but he also had to face a similar historical episode, the French invasion of Spain by the Napoleonic troops. In 1808, during the last years of his life, Jovellanos rejected joining the occupation government of Joseph Bonaparte and represented Asturias in the courts of Cadiz, bastion of the resistance against the French. Before that, he was Minister of Grace and Justice, as well as a celebrated intellectual of his time. His advanced ideas won him enemies in the most reactionary circles, and he was even arrested and sent to Majorca in exile. His legacy in Asturias is very important. Apart from a wide range of studies and proposals for the improvements that the region needed, he created the Royal Asturian Institute of Navigation and Mineralogy, a veritable boost for scientific research. Jovellanos also left a relevant written body of works, mainly essays on economics, politics, agriculture, philosophy and customs. But he also composed poetry and theatre, although he has not entered history as a man of literature. Someone who actually managed to inscribe himself as one of the greatest Spanish authors was Leopoldo Alas Clarin, whose main novel, La Regenta, was considered among the most important works in Spanish literature. Although he was born in Zamora, he always felt Asturian, because it was the land from where his family moved, and to which the author went back when he was 7 years old, in 1859. He studied at the University of Oviedo, and afterwards he moved to Madrid to pursue a PhD in law, where he met the intellectuals of his time. He became tenured professor of law at the Universities of Zaragoza and Oviedo. As a journalist, he published more than 2,300 articles on current social and cultural events. His masterpiece, La Regenta, was published in 2 parts, in 1884 and 1885, and is a work that criticizes Spanish society of the time. It is better regarded now than it was at the time. Exactly the opposite happened to another Asturian author, friend of Clarin, who managed to become the 3rd most translated Spanish author and twice candidate for the Nobel Prize, Armando Palacio Valdés. Palacio Valdés was born in the town of Entralgo in La Viana where his home is now an interpretive center devoted to his work. He spent his childhood in Avilés and, like Clarin, studied at the University of Oviedo. Like the author of La Regenta, he also moved to Madrid to pursue a career in law. He became known as a novelist with El Señorito Octavio and achieved fame with Marta y Maria. He was a prolific author, and many of his most popular novels were adapted to films, such as La Hermana San Sulpicio, José, or La Aldea Perdida, which was adapted into a movie with the title Las Aguas Bajan Negras. The 1930s were a dark time for Spain and Europe in general. During the last years of his life, Palacio Valdés had to deal with the Spanish Civil War and the sorrow and hunger it created. Other geniuses opted for exile, first from Spain and then from Europe. This was the case of the last figure that we include in this brief list of celebrated Asturians. Severo Ochoa de Albornoz was born in Luarca in 1905. He did win the Nobel Prize, though not for literature. Severo Ochoa was destined to become one of the most illustrious Spanish scientists. He had to develop his career in New York, where his laboratory became a worldwide referent for biochemical studies on enzymes and cellular metabolism. His research went a step beyond and opened a new field of study, molecular biology. In 1959, he was granted the Nobel Prize for Medicine and Physiology, alongside his disciple, Arthur Kornberg. In 1985, he finally came back for good to Spain to work at the Center of Molecular Biology that has his name, leaving a brilliant number of disciples that continue his work and receiving the well-deserved recognition of his country and his region of origin. These are all the figures we have included. Contemporary Asturias offers important characters in diverse fields, such as arts, sports, and more. History, with capital letters, will eventually give them all the privileged recognition that they deserve.